For 11 years, the gentle sound of my backyard creek was my escape. After long days fixing pipes and unclogging drains as a plumber, I'd come home, sit by that stream, and let the stress wash away. Birds sang overhead, dragonflies hovered just above the water, and neighborhood kids often came by to look for frogs or chase minnows. That little creek in Riverstone Heights was the heart of my home. But everything changed when the Maple Valley Homeowners Association, the HOA from the new development next door, decided my creek was a danger and forced me to drain it. They thought they were protecting the community. Instead, they unleashed a disaster that none of us could stop. It started with a letter. A thick envelope stamped with gold letters arrived one afternoon, announcing that our neighborhood had been absorbed into the Maple Valley HOA. I'd lived here for over a decade without any HOA. Suddenly, there were dues, rules, and threats of fines. At the bottom, a line read, "Failure to sign within 30 days constitutes acceptance." 3 days later, Karen Westfield knocked on my door. She introduced herself as the Community Standards Director. Her smile was polite, but sharp. When I said I wasn't interested, she told me it wasn't optional. 75% of homeowners had already agreed, and my deed allowed them to enforce the rules. Against my better judgment, I signed. But then she mentioned my unauthorized water feature. I stared at her. That's not a water feature, it's a creek. It's been here longer than any of our houses. Karen didn't blink. Children could get hurt. You'll need to fence it or drain it. At the first HOA meeting, her husband Richard, the HOA president, backed her up. They projected a photo of my backyard on a screen, calling it an immediate drowning hazard. I argued. Mrs. Thompson, whose kids played there almost daily, defended me. But the board had already decided. I had 30 days to drain the creek or face $100 daily fines. Something felt off. That night, I followed the creek upstream with a flashlight. It ran through woods and into a retention pond behind the new development, right where the Westfields lived. I found a drainage pipe feeding straight into my creek. Then I saw Richard drive up in a golf cart and pour something into the pond. When he left, I shined my light over the water. Dozens of dead fish floated on the surface. The next morning, I got a violation notice, $500 fine, plus orders to drain the creek within 30 days. I started digging. Old maps showed that our area used to be wetlands. The creek wasn't just decoration, it was a natural drainage system for the entire neighborhood. I spoke with Dr. Martinez, an environmental science professor, who confirmed it. That stream is a pressure valve for underground water. Block it, and the water will find another way. But the HOA didn't care. Within days, contractors arrived with pipes and machinery. By nightfall, my creek was gone, replaced by underground drains. The bed lay dry, scattered with stranded minnows the neighborhood kids and I tried to save with buckets. Then, the rain came. At 2 a.m., Elaine Wong, my neighbor, banged on my door. "You need to see this," she gasped. We sloshed through ankle-deep water toward Maple Drive. Floodwater bubbled up through storm drains. Neighbors ran around with flashlights and sandbags. And in the middle of it all stood Richard and Karen shouting orders while their lawn turned into a swamp. Dr. Martinez had been right. With my creek gone, the water had found a new path, directly under their homes. Over the next week, basements flooded, foundations cracked, and lawns sank into mud. The Thompsons lost priceless family heirlooms when water burst through their basement floor. Insurance companies refused coverage, calling it surface water intrusion in a flood zone. The HOA tried to blame the city, but I wasn't alone anymore. Neighbors began speaking up. Families who'd been fined for gardens, koi ponds, even basketball hoops. A retired water department worker confirmed that our homes were built on wetlands and the creek was critical to drainage. County engineers backed her up, issuing a report that placed blame squarely on the HOA's decision to remove it. The Westfields tried to intimidate me. One morning, I found all 4 tires on my car slashed, a note on my windshield, "Back off or else." Instead of backing off, I went public. Local news picked up the story. HOA blamed for neighborhood flooding. That was the breaking point. At the next community meeting, the room was packed. Angry homeowners demanded answers. I presented maps, county records, and expert testimony proving what had happened. When Karen tried to cut me off, people shouted over her. Then Elaine stood and held up a petition signed by over 75% of residents, enough to force an election. The vote wasn't even close. The Westfields were out. Elaine became HOA president, joined by new board members determined to fix the damage. Their first order of business: restore the creek. Months later, the water flowed again. Native plants returned. Children laughed and played where minnows darted between rocks. Even a heron made the creek its home again. The Westfields sold their house at a loss and left. The new owners supported the restoration, even putting up bird feeders along the banks. One afternoon, Elaine joined me by the water. She told me she'd found an old sign Karen left behind. It read, "Danger, water hazard, keep children away." Elaine smiled. I put it up at the community garden with a new sign underneath. "Nature is not a danger, but a teacher." Looking out at the sparkling water, I realized she was right. Nature will always win in the end. You can try to bury it, redirect it, or silence it, but water always finds its way back. And in our neighborhood, it brought justice with it.